former prime minister, the only woman prime minister of Israel, because she had such a direct way of talking. She was really the Iron Lady of Israel. And I think I would try to help her make her be more personable to people, even though she would talk about personal stories and the issues of, how important it was to love our children, that we and our neighbors should all love our children. But if I could just have time with her, I would resonate with them. One of Aristotle, the philosopher, said there are three elements to persuasion: ethos, pathos, logos. Ethos is credibility of the speaker. Who am I? Because of my background, my experience, my education, and can you identify with me? Pathos is the heart, the emotions. We have to appeal to the emotions. So that's when we use the personal stories. People remember personal stories much more than numbers or statistics. Right. And the third, logic. I still have to have the facts and the figures to prove that what I'm saying is correct. So if you can combine all three, then that's how you can really persuade people. So I help people to find all three of those elements.
Linda, I was going through profile. Your work revolves training of some of the biggest profiles, including diplomats, university researchers. What do you think is the biggest challenge these professionals face when it comes to public speaking?
And it says something about the culture, because Israeli culture is very direct. I'm going to ask you directly. I'm going to tell you directly what I think, and I'm going to tell you to do something. There's actually a term for fear of public speaking. It's called glossophobia. Glosso is the Greek for tongue, speech, and phobia, fear.
Yeah, right.
So once you get the techniques, you can do it.
A quick introduction to audience. Today we have very special guest, Linda Lovitch, a top media and communicator. She is helping leaders, academics, help them to master confident and clear messaging. Linda is a trusted partner to some of the most influential figures in the world, I would say, including members of the Israel government, top diplomats, and many more. If you want to be a master public speaking and communicate with confidence in any setting, don't miss this exciting episode. Welcome to CED TALKZ, Linda, and thank you so much for taking your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Linda, I have some questions aligned for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
I'm really excited for this podcast. First of all, I would like to say we've been discussing this podcast for a while, and finally we are here. So, yeah. Linda, I was going through profile. Your work revolves training of some of the biggest profiles, including diplomats, university researchers. What do you think is the biggest challenge these professionals face when it comes to public speaking?
I think, first of all, I have to say, because I work with a lot of diplomats from Israel,
Right.
Number one is that they're not always talking to a very friendly audience, shall we say. So it's though when they have to plead their case to the world, how do they make it personal? How do they make it personable? How do they make it resonate with the audience so that they will listen to them and want to hear what they have to say? And in addition, and I think we'll talk about this a bit more in a minute, the fact that English is not their first language, so that they have to express themselves in the way that they want to in a second language, which is really difficult. Do I have all the terms I need, the words? Am I making it clear in the cultural context as well to an international audience?
That itself becoming sometimes it would be challenging, right?
Yes.
Yes. Linda, you work like both, you mentioned English and Hebrew as well. How does the communication differ from speaking in these two languages? How do you make the adjustment? How are you flexible so much?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because there definitely is a difference between English and Hebrew.
Right, right.
Okay, and in Hebrew, everything is direct. They talk in the imperative, like do this, do that. And they don't use so much like the please, would you, could you, okay, if you don't mind. So it's trying to get them used to saying these words that they don't have, that they don't usually use. And it says something about the culture, because Israeli culture is very direct. I'm going to ask you directly. I'm going to tell you directly what I think. And I'm going to tell you to do something. And, in English, we try to be polite and very gentle when we ask people to do things.
We can say formal in English, more polite, yeah.
It is formal. And tell you the truth, that's what I like about Israeli society, is it's very informal.
Informal.
That like you have a friend, you want to come over, just come on over. As opposed to, where I came from in the United States, you get in touch a week before. Are you busy? Let's make a date. Da, da, da. And, the culture is really reflected in the language as well.
Yeah, that's something you mentioned. There's a lot of, differences are there. Right, right.
Correct.
Linda, the stakes are incredibly high for some of your clients. Can you share a story or a moment in your training that helps someone to navigate particularly challenging communicating with in the communication scenario, I would say?
So I had a politician, a woman who became a minister, and she was used to talking as a politician to her base, which was yelling and talking about how certain parts of the population have been neglected and ignored. And she, as a woman from a certain descendants, they've been ignored. And I said, you are now a statesperson. You are talking to an international audience, and you have to take the tone down a bit. And not only that, we have to change the messages to messages that resonate with the audience. You're representing Israel. You're talking about Israel. They want to feel like they trust you. They want to listen to you, that you are genuine in what you have to say. So if they feel like you're yelling at them and talking about things they don't care about, they're not going to listen to you. And I was very pleased that she listened to me. And with time, she really became very statesperson-like, and she was representing the state as a minister, and not just person talking to her base and, to those politics. So it was really making that switch between the politician and her base to an international spokesperson for the state of Israel.
That's something really amazing about you, Linda. You are able to understand human psychology, and you are able to connect with them. Like, this person has, these are the limitation, these are the expectation from the profile. So you are able to deliver, not like I would say many times. That's the reason you're so successful. Yeah, people follow you.
Thank you. Well, the truth is my first degree is in psychology. So believe me, it helps.
Okay. Your experience that able to connect with the audience.
I try. Look, connecting with the audience is one of the most important things in public speaking.
Right.
To be able to express messages that resonate with them. What do they care about? What do they need? Not only that, am I in control of my voice and body language so that people are open to listening to me? It has to be that combination of both the content, the messages, what you're saying, and how you're saying. People remember even more how you say something than what you say. So you want them to get that impression of, oh, she's a very smart person. Oh, she's really considerate. She really thinks about what she's saying. And that's really one of the keys to talking to an audience, engaging them.
Yeah. With so many virtual and hybrid events becoming the norm, what's the unique challenges do your clients face presenting in these formats? How do you prepare for them?
Well, first of all, luckily, I was an actress and even worked on a soap opera here many years ago. So I have a lot of experience working in front of a camera.
It's into Hollywood, you're saying?
Not in Hollywood, in Israel, actually, in Israel. I was in a soap opera here. And I studied theater as well, acting and directing. Because now since COVID, basically. We
Right.
all have to look at this little light on our computer and talk to it as if we're engaging and talking with people,
Right. Right.
even if we don't see them.
Mhm.
So all of a sudden, people can't move around. They can't look around the room. They have to stand in one place, look straight at the little light, and still have that energy and dynamic as if they're
Right.
talking to real people, even if they can't see anyone. So the challenge is, how do I look at this light on my computer?
Right.
How do I look at a camera, my telephone, and still talk like I'm talking to real people? So that's what, I help people do, how to feel comfortable with that. And I'm going to give you one big tip: smile and use your hands. It actually affects your voice. So even if I
Right.
can't see someone, I'm on a phone call and I can't see them, I can hear the difference. So that's really key. So that's the challenge, is how do I now engage an audience? They may not be able to see me. I can't see them. So how do I know if they have questions? They don't understand what I'm saying. So I have to make that part of my talk and my presentation. Let's now put questions into the chat. Let's all go on camera so that you can talk to me. So it's really making that transition from looking at a live audience to dealing with virtual audiences, which is not easy.
But still, you are able to manage, and you are able to deliver the outcome.
Let me tell you, first of all, when COVID happened, Corona happened, and we first had to go online, I had to practice and practice and practice. I would get friends and say, please go on a Zoom call with me. Okay. And the beauty is you can record it and see how it is.
Right.
And that's
Right.
really important. Like if you have to do a Zoom call, you have to do a virtual presentation, practice it. Go online, record it, and then look at it afterwards. So that's what I did with my friends. Like, please get online, just a few minutes. And we did that until, I got a hold of all the technology and how to share and how to put things in the chat and reactions. So it was really making that pivot, and now more and more, you're right, hybrid. I teach at the universities here, and some of the classes are hybrid. So I have people in the classroom and I have people online. So I have to figure out, how do I get everybody engaged and active when I've got both? How do I get the people online talking to the people in the class? And this is what we have to get used to, is a combination of this technology and switching the mindset to, okay, it's not only me looking at a person, but it's really important that when I'm talking, they get the feeling that I'm talking to a real person.
This is very important you have mentioned, right? Linda, public speaking often involves not just delivering information, but influencing others, like you are doing. How do you coach your clients to connect emotionally with the audience, still saying the truth to the core message?
Right. Well, first of all, like I said, you have to be personable. You have to have control of the voice and body language so that people want to listen to you.
Correct.
And second of all, you have to understand, so who's my audience? What do they need? What do they think? What do they know about me? And what messages resonate with them? One of Aristotle, the philosopher, said there are three elements to persuasion: ethos, pathos, logos. Ethos is credibility of the speaker. Who am I? Because of my background, my experience, my education, and can you identify with me? Pathos is the heart,
Right.
the emotions. We have to appeal to the emotions. So that's when we use the personal stories. People remember personal stories much more than numbers or statistics.
Right.
And the third, logic. I still have to have the facts and the figures to prove that what I'm saying is correct.
Right.
So if you can combine all three, then that's how you can really persuade people. So I help people to find all three of those elements in their presentations.
That's the reason people connect with you so deeply. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Linda, world has changed a lot in terms of, as you mentioned, in digital media. So how the role like media trainer evolved in 5-10 years, and where do you see it's going in the future?
First of all, I think it's, like I said, starting to make people more and more comfortable with being on camera. getting the rules and the techniques for appearing online. A message has to be short and to the point. When I want to be on TikTok, I've got a few seconds, or Instagram. And it's also, I think it's important for people to be connected and in control of the technology so that I can do things easily. I can film myself and put it up online. I can film myself and put in, edit it, or put in music, or put in different features, animations, I don't know what. There are more and more applications for how to do that. There are even applications like a teleprompter on your phone.
Right, it is there.
If I need to say something, I've got the teleprompter on the phone. I'm looking at the phone as I'm recording. So it's getting used to being on camera more and more, feeling comfortable, and still, being authentic with that, which is not easy. People don't get comfortable. All of a sudden they're in front. They don't know what to do. Where do I look? What do I do with my hands? So it's, have a conversation. Have a conversation with people. So get comfortable with being online. Get comfortable with being filmed. Not everybody likes to film themselves. Not everybody likes to have a presence online. Then write a blog or, do something else so that you have that presence. But if you're willing to, then get comfortable with a camera, tell your story, figure out how to present the content in a way that the audience wants to hear it, and just go from there. I mean, we're going to be more and more online, it seems. And, the sad thing is, like, when I do it online, I forget how to talk to people.
Right.
It was really weird when COVID was a little quieter, Corona, and we could go back to live sessions, live training with people. I had to remember, oh, right, they're really live people here. I can ask them a question. They can, so how do I talk like I'm communicating with real people, but do it on social media?
So you like which one, physical format or virtual public speaking?
Sorry, what about the physical format?
Like you usually do physical format, right? Public speaking.
Yes, usually I'm in person, but the beauty of this is now I can do a kind of combination of training.
Right.
Like I'll come to the place, I'll go to the university, work with the group, get them started, do an introduction, and then online I will do one-on-one sessions with each of the different researchers so that I can work with them individually. I don't have to make all the trips to wherever I need to go. It saves a lot of time. And then maybe I'll go back to do a general rehearsal in the space before their board of governors. So I have to say, once you get into this, combination, it's really comfortable. And people have gotten used to it and they can learn. So I enjoy that I have that freedom, that I don't always have to go all the way. It saves me time and I can get more work in.
Linda, something about you, I would like to mention something positive about you. The energy. It could be anyone. It could be me or it could be anyone. Whenever you talk, there's a positive is there. Positive atmosphere, I would say. Then you are people get connected with your, whenever you say, whenever you, whatever, the message you deliver. It connects so deeply, I would say.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's often I'm selling myself just when I'm talking.
Right.
People see what I can do and they think, I bet she can do that for me. So you have to have the energy. And sometimes I work with people, I'm working with an ambassador who's been up all night and now he's got to go talk to the media and he's so tired, and it doesn't matter. You still have to get that energy just for a few minutes, do it, and then you can collapse. Same thing with a presentation. Your baby was up all night. You're really tired. It doesn't matter. The audience doesn't care. So how do I just feel like, all right, take a nice breath, be on stage, and then when I'm finished, that's another story.
That's something really great about you. When you're in the presence. Right.
Thank you.
Linda, you work with the top leaders in politics, the military. Are there any difference in how these groups communicate? What lessons can we learn from each other? What's your opinion?
That's a good question. I liked specifically the part about what can they learn from each other.
Right.
Because
Right.
you're right. I work with very different groups, like diplomats, university researchers, high-tech people. They all have different audiences. And what's important is that each of them have to talk to their audience
Right.
and figure out what resonates with them. What can I offer? And they have different goals. The researchers from a university, the professors there, they want to talk to donors and get the donors to give money. The diplomats or the army spokespeople are trying to talk to the world and tell them what's really going on here. And I think sometimes they can learn from each other, tell you the truth. Like the spokespeople can learn about the amazing research that's been done in Israel and use that to share to the world. And I think the people from the universities can also learn how to talk to the world from the international spokespeople, because that's what they do. They're always talking out to the world, international audiences, So I think that's what they can learn from each other. First, they all have passion about what they're talking about. But how do I make it different for that specific audience?
Right.
And the truth is, you never know what kind of questions you're going to get. And I've had people, economic attaches, that said, well, I don't have to talk about politics. No one's going to ask me about politics. But when you're from Israel, yeah, they're going to ask you because they're interested in that. So you have to be prepared for different kinds of questions. And they could use the information from each other to get their messages out, really.
It could be like any new things can be come into the picture, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Linda, when someone walks away from a training session, which is obviously incredible, I would say, what is the one key takeaway? Hope you, in your opinion, that sticks with them for the most?
I think what sticks with them is, wow, now I have the tools to actually do it.
Right.
Because people are so overwhelmed. Where do I start? How do I organize the content? What are the important points? But I have so much information. So once they've gone through this, it's like, it's not as hard as I thought. And not only that, everybody can get better. Because some, no, I can't do it. Maybe some people start here, some people start there, but everybody can get better. So once they have the techniques, they come out and they go, it's not as bad as I thought. I can do it. And they had a great time doing it with me, of course. We have fun.
Yeah. That's something I believe you are gifted, or I don't know, people connect with you so deeply. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's maybe
I'm also
kind of
curious.
gift.
I think because I'm curious and I like to learn different things, because when you work with so many different people, you learn so many different things, and you have to learn how to interview them and get that information out, because all of a sudden they give me this great story of why they thought of coming up with this innovation. And you go, yeah, that's the story to use. And they said, really? I should use that story? Why? Yeah. So I know how to get the material from people.
Right. That's, you mentioned curiosity. And one more thing, I believe passion. You're working with passionately. Yeah. That's something really, I would say, amazing. Linda, it's a set fire round. So I'll be asking some, kind of a tricky question. It could be expected. So are you ready?
Yes, go. Okay.
Linda, what's the one thing that instantly boosts your confidence when you're speaking? Because whenever you're speaking, I've been watching some of the LinkedIn posts and some of the interviews as well in LinkedIn. So you're speaking with confidence. People resonate with you deeply, I would say.
I think it's practice.
Right.
Because the more you do it out loud, the more you've said it already, and it's not the first time, and you're not looking for the words, and you don't know, you've got it. So once you've got it all together, practice, and out loud, not just looking at notes or playing with my PowerPoint and looking at it. Right. Practice out loud.
That's the key secret. Practice out loud. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Linda, what's the biggest misconception people have about public speaking?
You have to be born with it. People
Right.
think if I don't have a natural inclination, a natural talent for it, I can't do it. But it's not true. Once you get the proper techniques, you get the feedback, analysis. I always film people so that they can see themselves and they can understand when I'm saying, no, you're talking like this, very high. Oh, yeah, I do. You're not smiling at all. You're not using your hands.
Right.
Once they do that, then they can get better. Like I said, everybody can get better. But some people are so scared of it. There's actually a term for fear of public speaking. It's called glossophobia. Glosso is the Greek for tongue, speech, and phobia, fear.
Yeah, right.
So once you get the techniques, you can do it.
Yeah, like many of us, like the fear is there, as you mentioned about public speaking, how like audience will view it, what people will say. Yeah, you have to figure out that thing, right? Fear, right? That's something important you mentioned.
Definitely.
Linda, if you could give one piece of advice to someone who's nervous about public speaking, what would be and why? Sorry.
I would say breathe.
Breathe.
People forget to breathe. And if I take a nice deep breath before I begin, breathe in, hold it, breathe out. I'm not thinking for a second, what am I going to say? Who the people? Da, da, da. I've just taken a second to myself to just relax. And even, your shoulders go down. And sometimes people forget to breathe while they're talking, and they just keep talking and talking, and they get to the end of the sentence and they don't have breath. So it's breathe at the beginning and take time throughout to breathe.
This is very like a key lesson, I would say, you have mentioned. Linda, what's the most memorable speech you ever had?
I think the most memorable speech I've heard was, I would say, Rachel Goldberg, who was the mother of Hirsch Goldberg Polin, one of the hostages taken to Gaza. She spoke, every time she speaks is breathtaking because she is so careful with her words. She shares stories about her son, Hirsch, so that we really get to feel him personally. And she's inclusive. She talks about how the hostages were not only Jewish, there were Christians, Muslims, Hindus, Baha'i, how, they were of different nationalities, different faiths. And she speaks with that raw pain that no one can be. There's not a dry eye in the house when you're listening to her. She just has it all. And she has such a presence. So I would say hers are just of the best speeches, truly, I've ever heard. I'm sorry that she had to make them in this circumstance, but really a class.
That is something you mentioned, like that is the best speech you have ever heard, right?
Yes.
Linda, if you could describe the perfect speaker in 3 words, what would be and why?
I think passion, confidence,
Right.
and personable, approachable.
There's a story to connect, yeah.
Yes. People connect to other people that they feel like, oh, that's someone I would like to talk to. And also, people don't like to see when you're nervous when you're talking.
Right.
By the way, if you just say, I'm a little nervous being here, that kind of releases everything. So I think if you show that you're confident and passion, if you're passionate about what you're talking about, then there's a good chance I will be passionate about it too.
These are the key elements, yeah.
Yes.
Linda, this is the last question.
Okay.
Imagine like if you could train any historical figure to speak with you, who would it be and why?
Okay, now this was really difficult. I thought of several, but I think the one I would like to work with is Golda Meir, a former prime minister, the only woman prime minister of Israel, because she had such a direct way of talking. She was really the Iron Lady of Israel. And I think I would try to help her make her be more personable to people, even though she would talk about personal stories and the issues of, how important it was to love our children, that we and our neighbors should all love our children. But if I could just have time with her, I would love that. I mean, she was a force. She was a force to be reckoned with. God bless her.
Wow, Linda, this conversation, such a great, I would say. Your insights on communication, not only fascinating, but also, I would say, incredible, valuable lesson for anyone, I would say, looking to make an impact with their words.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Linda. Yeah. For taking out, you've been busy, still you managed your time. It means a lot, Linda. It's a wrap up. To audience, I have included Linda's LinkedIn profile in the description. Make sure you follow her. Thank you for tuning today. We hope you walk away with confidence in your own speaking ability. It's not just that. Linda's conversation, it's all about making an impact. How people can make you feel when they say it. Thank you so much, Linda.
Definitely. Thank you.